Welcome to another Fantasy Goodfellas video where we're going to talk about the analysts' results for Week 6 when it comes to running backs. You ready?
The Fantasy Goodfellas.
Rolling on the field.
The Fantasy Goodfellas.
All right, let me tell you how this video is going to work. A lot of these analysts and these pro people on YouTube talk about what their rankings are going to be for each and every week. Well, I want to show you how they did each and every week. So both Fantasy Pros and the Fantasy Headliners both picked Jonathan Taylor to be the top running back for Week 6, when actually he came in 8th. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand this for the top running backs 1 through 10, and we're going to look at what they did. So Fantasy Pros gave you this top 10: Taylor, McCaffrey, Jacobs, Barkley, Robinson, Cook, Achane, Gibbs, Williams, and Genty. Now Fantasy Pros did 60%, whereas the Fantasy Headliners did 60% as well. And so what we do is, that's pretty good. When you have top running backs, listen, you're going to play your top running backs regardless of what their rankings are. So that's pretty good, but still only 60% accurate. Now let's move on to the top 11 through 20. Now this time, this next ranking is going to have its separate thing for their tier. So out of these 10 players, the Fantasy Headliners got 30% right. So let's look at which ones they got right. So they got Rico Dowdle. They chose at 15. He actually came at number 1. And also, if we look at Rachaad White, was predicted to be 18. He came in at 12th. And at 19, Cam Skattebo, he came in at actually 3. So that was the Fantasy Headliners. Let's move on to the Fantasy Pros, and they got 30% as well. Let's look at those. They got Cam Skattebo. They predicted 16, came in at 3. Up here, you actually have Derrick Henry as well. And then down below, we have DeAndre Swift. He was predicted at 20 and actually came in at 6. So far, it's easy to get the top 10. Now we're looking at the top 11 through 20. Now some can say, hey, if they're in the top 10 and got to the top 20, we're not going to do that. We're just going to look at each tier to see those players where they came in. And if they did better, we'll count them. If they did worse, we're not going to count them. It's most important. So let's go back to the Fantasy Headliners and see how they did. So that's their tier. Now we're going to move on to the top 21 through 30. And so we're going to do that same stat. We're going to look at the players 21 through 30 to see if they came in anything better than that. So we missed out on Stevenson, Pollard, David Montgomery was in that. Derrick Henry was in that. He was predicted at 24. He came in 13. Alvin Kamara, he was 19. Jaylen Warren, he was predicted at 26, came in 25. DeAndre Swift, he was 6. And so that's this is going to be the most favorable one in my opinion, because now you're saying, hey, I picked this tier and they can come in. So let's just look at that. That was a 70% hit ratio. Overall, Fantasy Headliners, compared to our stat machine, they hit on 16 of the 30 top 30s. Good for a 53%. Now we're going to move on to the Fantasy Pros. Then we're going to look at them and say they hit on 70% of that last tier as well. Who they hit on? Rachaad White, predicted 21, came into 12. You can look at Chuba Hubbard. He did not play. There's some talk if no ranking. So if they get injured, we're not going to count it, because at the time of the rankings, we did it. We have to put this in the machine. They still predicted it. at 23. Jalen Warren came in 25. David Montgomery, 26. Alvin Kamara, 19. Missed on Tony Pollard. Chase Brown got some stats. He came in at 20th. Rico Dowdle was predicted at 28. He came in number 1. And then Michael Carter. So overall, that was good for 53%. We're going to go back to the fantasy headliners, and they too predicted the same amount. So it's a 53% hit ratio. So that is going to do it. I'm going to add some more analyst stats, and then eventually we're going to compete against these analysts each and every week. But I wanted to show you how the analysts did for week 6.